And welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and we're back talking about all or nothing. And the reason we're talking about all or nothing is because one, I realized that I did kind of a craptastic job of explaining like my thought behind the measure that I had. I sort of explained it, but I didn't. I kind of skipped over a few parts. And in the second reason that we're discussing it is because my man Henrik, he's like, well, maybe you can use Analyzer to determine what the hell is going on, Greg. I'm like, that's a damn good idea, Henrik. So we did, and it sort of kind of explains what's going on. But I think I was just so flabbergasted and shocked by what I was seeing, and I still am. I'm still shocked by what I'm seeing as the behavior out of these slicers, and it just makes me wonder how many reports out there are just utterly just wrong. Um, it's kind of I'm kind of concerned about it, to be honest. So let's do a little bit better rigor. And that here is my semantic model. Now, for all intents and purposes, this was for a different purpose. We are just dealing with this table right here, this month years table, right, which has a grand total of 4. It's not connected to any other. This is the entire semantic model as far as we are concerned. Okay. Now this is the code for it, right? Where I basically am selecting some 4 columns out of the dim date, as far as that table, and then I'm unioning that. And instead of using all blanks this time, I decided to go with, like I'll put in like some bogus data, like 1000 junk, 2011 13, which doesn't exist, right? Month 13. We'll give it a 2011 calendar just so it fits with the rest of the data. Um, Instead of using blanks, that way we can just absolutely rule out that it's not some hokey thing with blank, a blank row or something in the table, right? So we decided to go this way on that. Now, the whole key to this, and I skipped over this, is that we have a filter on our slicer and I'm using advanced filtering. Trust me, I tried basic slicing, basic filtering as well. Same behavior. All right, so I can do advanced filtering is not junk, right? Which gets rid of my junk row. Like if I take this away, like there's junk right there, right? So if I say is not junk, then it's gone. Now the original concept was that again, if I'm going to count the rows in month years, which should be what's selected in my slicer, right? Then I'm going to count the rows and I'm going to remove all filters, right? Which in theory would get rid of the filter on my slicer, right? In theory, it gets rid of that, and then I can compare them, right? So when I'm counting all rows, so num all rows should include junk, right? Which I'm filtering out at a slicer level, at the visual level, and num rows shouldn't include junk because it's being filtered out, right? That is the whole concept. In that way, I can determine whether or not everything is selected or nothing is selected, right? If nothing is selected, then it should include junk. If I do a select all, then it should only include what's selected in the, what's in the slicer itself. But as we saw, right, in both cases, it includes the junk row for whatever reason, like bizarre, right? And we can see that by this 366 number, which again, this table has up 366 rows, and that includes the junk row. Okay, so that is the whole key. So there's 365 days, right? Plus the junk row makes it 366. So that's how many actual rows are in the table. Now I've simplified this to number all too. So now all we're doing is num rows, count rows, month years, right? That way there's no extra DAX or anything else. It's just straight up. And as you can see, I've selected everything. It's 366. I select nothing, it's 366. If I go here and individually select these individual items in the slicer, it is 365. So doing select all here is not the same as selecting all of the items in the slicer, right? Which right out the bat, that's warning flags all over the place, right? That is not cool at all. I don't understand how you could classify that as anything other than a bug. And the interesting thing about it is what happens with the DAX queries that are involved here. So if we turn on Performance Analyzer, we start recording, and let's go ahead and refresh these visuals. There's nothing selected here. And so the slicer itself, if I copy this query, and then I bring up bring up my notepad. All right, so I paste this in here. And this is the DAX query for this slicer, regardless, okay? Regardless if I have everything selected, all selected, nothing selected, or I even select individual items, okay? This is the same, it's the same query for the slicer. Now, the card visual, let's copy this query, and we'll go back to here. And so this is evaluate row, none or all, fact internet sales, none or all, da da da. So that's with everything, that's with all of this connected. Now, I'm gonna do this. Okay, that way we can just go back and forth here a little bit easier. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and select everything. Of course. Now I've selected everything. Now the slicer, right? Let's refresh the visuals. We'll get the card visual, copy the query, paste it in here. It's the same thing. All right, so now let's do this. Select individual items. Right, let's clear this. Let's now refresh the visuals. Let's see what our query is now. So there you have it, right? So so for having everything selected or nothing selected, the query is exactly the same. Now, if we select each individual item in the slicer, it actually has this, you see this treat as right here, and then it does, so it's a very, very different query. So I don't know how you don't classify this as a bug. I don't know how you can say that this is not a bug, because again, my expectation would be I do a select all. The query for select all, it shouldn't be this. It should be exactly equivalent to as if I'm selecting each of the items in this query, but it's not. So now this gets into some really, really bizarre behavior, right? So now let's say instead of advanced filtering is not junk, how about I say does not contain the letter A? And I apply that filter. Now look what's in here. Select all 366, 366. Now if I do this, it's only 184. So I don't know how common like this is to like filter your slicers and that sort of stuff. But all I can say is if you are filtering your slicers and you're including a select all, that is stop doing that, because it's a bug and it's going to cause incorrect results, right? So if you're doing a visual level slicer on your filter and you're including select all, that is a no-no. Don't do that. That is going to irreparably harm your reports, from what I can tell. You're going to get bizarre, weird, bananas kind of answers back on your report visuals, because that is broken. That is as broken can be. Okay, so word to the wise: don't do that. Don't filter your slicers at the visual level and also include select all. Bad idea. Okay, so if you're doing that in your reports, stop doing it. And definitely go back and check your reports and do some QA and make sure that that you're not getting you're not steering, I guess providing your stakeholders incorrect information. Okay, so that is all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.